If an interviewer asks, describe a time you disagreed with your supervisor, they're not trying to trap you. They're testing how you handle conflict, authority, and professionalism under pressure. In this video, you'll learn exactly how to turn this tricky question into proof that you're mature, respectful, and great to work with. Interviewers ask this question because they know disagreements are inevitable. They want to see 1. Whether you can stay professional when you don't get your way. 2. If you can communicate clearly and respectfully. And 3. Whether you still support the team and the decision, even when it's not yours. Your answer shows your emotional maturity and your ability to work under real-world pressure. Underneath the question, the interviewer is really thinking about 4 things. 1. Do you respect authority, or are you difficult to manage? 2. Can you disagree without getting personal or defensive? 3. Are you solution-focused, or do you just complain? And 4. Can you collaborate and move forward, even if your idea isn't chosen? Your story should directly reassure them on all 4 points. Pick a story where the disagreement is realistic but safe. Avoid personal conflicts or emotional blow-ups. Choose a work-related situation like a project direction, a deadline, a process, or a strategy. You want a story where the stakes were real but not catastrophic, you stayed respectful, you communicated clearly, and the outcome shows learning or a positive resolution. If a story makes your supervisor look awful, choose a different one. Stay away from examples that involve yelling, insults, ethical violations, or legal issues. Don't talk about a disagreement where you went over your boss's head without first trying to speak with them. And avoid stories where you were clearly wrong in a way that makes you look careless. You're aiming for a reasonable disagreement between 2 professionals, not a dramatic fight scene. Structure your answer with STAR: situation, task, action, result. For this specific question, situation, briefly set the context and your relationship with your supervisor. Task, explain the decision or issue you disagreed about and what was at stake. Action, focus on how you raised the disagreement respectfully and what you did to move things forward. Result, show the outcome, what improved, and what you learned about working with leaders. Keep each part of STAR tight. Situation, 1 or 2 sentences. Task, 1 clear explanation of what the decision was. Action, this is where you spend the most time. How you prepared, how you approached your supervisor, and how you communicated. Result, end on the impact. Did it improve the process, prevent an issue, or build trust? Finish with 1 sentence on what you learned about handling disagreements professionally. Even if you really didn't like how your supervisor handled things, your answer must show respect. Use phrases like my manager or my supervisor and focus on the decision, not their personality. A good rule: if your story makes your supervisor sound incompetent or cruel, change how you frame it. You can say you saw things differently while still recognizing their experience or their responsibility for final decisions. You want to show that you're not a pushover, but also not stubborn. Explain how you prepared your reasoning before speaking up, how you chose a good time and place to talk, and how you framed your disagreement around the goal, quality, customer experience, risk, or deadlines, rather than around being right. Emphasize that you were open to their perspective and willing to support the final decision, even if it wasn't yours. When you describe the disagreement, highlight how you communicated. Mention that you listened first, asked clarifying questions, and avoided emotional language. Show that you focused on facts, data, or customer impact. You can say something like, you were careful with your tone, and you framed it as, here's another way we might look at this, instead of, you're wrong. This proves you can handle tough conversations like an adult. After you share how you disagreed, shift quickly to how you partnered with your supervisor. Did you brainstorm alternatives? Offer to gather data or run a small test? Help adjust the plan so it met both your concerns and theirs? Going from disagreement to collaboration is where you really impress the interviewer. It shows you care more about the outcome than about winning the argument. Choose neutral, respectful language. Good phrases include, my supervisor preferred a different approach. We had different views on the timeline, or my manager was concerned about the risks. These phrases describe the situation without judging their character. This makes you look mature and trustworthy. Avoid loaded phrases like, my boss didn't know what they were doing, they were unreasonable, or they never listen. Also avoid blaming language like, they always or they never. That kind of wording makes interviewers worry you'll talk about them the same way one day. Stick to facts and keep emotion out of it. Some helpful phrases you can use in your story. I wanted to make sure we considered, from my perspective, there was a risk that I asked if we could explore an alternative, and ultimately I supported my supervisor's decision once it was made. These phrases show respect, thoughtfulness, and teamwork. Here's a strong example answer: situation and task. In my previous role as a marketing coordinator, my supervisor decided we should launch a campaign within 2 weeks to take advantage of a trend. I was responsible for coordinating the content and approvals. I felt the timeline was too aggressive and might hurt the quality of the campaign and our brand image. Action. I scheduled a short one-on-one with my supervisor and came prepared with a simple outline of the tasks required and realistic time estimates. I started by acknowledging the importance of moving quickly and that I understood the opportunity. Then I shared my concern about quality, using examples from past campaigns. I suggested 2 options: slightly extending the launch by 1 week or narrowing the initial scope, so we could still hit the 2-week window without cutting key quality checks. I made it clear that I would support whichever decision they made. Result: my supervisor appreciated that I had thought it through. We agreed to narrow the initial scope, focusing on our highest impact channels, and set a follow-up phase for additional content. The campaign launched on time, performed above our average engagement rates, and we avoided last-minute rush issues. My supervisor later told me they valued how I raised the concern and backed it up with data, and our working relationship became stronger. This answer works because it hits all the key points. The disagreement is about a professional decision, not personality. The candidate prepares, stays respectful, and uses facts. They offer options instead of just saying no. And they end with a clear, positive result that shows impact and a stronger relationship. That's exactly what interviewers want to hear. One big mistake is using this question to vent about a bad boss. Even if your supervisor really was difficult, an interview is never the place to unload. If you sound angry, bitter, or sarcastic, the interviewer will question your professionalism. Always keep your tone calm and factual, and if you can't tell the story without sounding resentful, pick a different example. Another mistake is saying, I never really disagreed with my supervisor. That might sound safe, but it actually suggests you either lack initiative or you're not being honest. Interviewers know disagreements happen. A better message is, you do sometimes see things differently and you handle those moments in a mature, respectful way. Avoid framing your story like a movie where you're totally right and your supervisor is totally wrong. In real life, both sides usually have valid points. If you sound self-righteous, the interviewer will wonder if you're hard to manage. Show that you understood your supervisor's perspective, even if you disagreed with the final call. Some candidates describe a disagreement, but never explain how it ended or what they learned. That makes the story feel unfinished. Always include the result, even if your idea wasn't chosen. Show how you moved forward and what you took away about handling disagreements better next time. To answer, describe a time you disagreed with your supervisor. Choose a safe, professional disagreement. Structure it with STAR, show respect, highlight your communication and collaboration, and end with a clear, positive result. Practice your story out loud so it sounds natural, not memorized. If you found this helpful, prepare 1 or 2 of your own examples using this framework so you're ready for your next interview.